This your girl Candy, and you're watching Sweet Addictions TV. And I'm here with author, motivational speaker, and matchmaker, Mr. Tony Gaskins Jr. How you doing?
Great.
Good. So you enjoy your trip up here to Atlanta?
Yeah, I love Atlanta.
Okay.
Successful black people.
Right. What they call it, Black Hollywood.
Yeah.
So before we get into everything, for people who may not be familiar with what you do, can you let us know a little background?
Well, I am an author, like you said. Celebrity life coach. Coach celebrities across the board. A lot of athletes, mostly.
Okay.
But then also, actors, entertainers, and I'm a speaker. So basically, just someone sharing my story.
Right.
Turn my mess into a message, and now just help other people go to the next level.
Right. Paying it forward.
Right.
Okay. So what got you into it? Because I know, before you became the Tony Gaskins Jr. you are right now,
right.
You was into what a lot of black males fall into. I call it
right.
the trap.
Right.
So what got you from that lifestyle to where you are now?
Right. Well, I guess, you're destined for something.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get sidetracked. The way I say it is that wherever God plants a seed, the devil plants a weed.
Right.
So, my thing was I was in college on a full scholarship, but I got caught up into trying to affirm myself as a man, selling drugs, womanizing. I got kicked out of school. I went to the streets because, where I'm from, you're either an athlete or a drug dealer.
Right.
So, I gravitated towards the streets. And then, I fell flat on my face. I met my wife, and I sold her dream. And when she saw that I wasn't manifesting the dream that I sold her,
Right.
she left me. And so when she left me, I begged her back. And it was one other thing in my life, and that was my status. That was my success, so you call it. And I had an Impala on 22s, where I'm from in Florida, in Tampa. That means a lot.
That's it, right.
So, and it was early on too, so I was like the first guy with the Impala on 22s. And so I had lost my wife and I got her back, and then when I came back, that night I got robbed. And so I lost my car and everything that was in my car. And so 23 years old, married with a son in an intensive care unit, and now I'm $30,000 in the hole, at 23. So at that time I decided, I can't run anymore.
Right.
It's time for me to start using my gifts for, my creator, the one who gave them to me.
Right.
I had already become an author at 22, and now I just put my time and energy. I took that hustler's ambition that I had, in
Right.
the streets, and I put it into this corporate world. And so when you take that type of ambition, and you flip it, doing legal work is easy.
Right.
And so, that's what changed my life. And 2 years later, I found myself on Oprah telling my story, and then Tyra Banks and TBN, CBN, and
How did you feel when you got the call from the big O? Big Oprah.
I was shocked when I was 23 and I rededicated my life to Christ, and I made a goal. I said in 2 years I'm going on Oprah, which that's kind of absurd, it's kind of crazy. And so I had to go in the capacity that I could get on.
Right.
She wasn't going to bring a 25-year-old on there and say, hey, this is an amazing author and life coach and speaker. So I had to go in there and tell a story from my past,
Right.
which was in a toxic, abusive relationship. So it was 5 years prior, but I told that story as if it had happened the day before, But for me, it was still an opportunity to be on Oprah, to meet Oprah, to impart the wisdom that God had given me, on toxic relationships into millions of lives.
Right.
So I just, I ran with it. The next day, Tyra Banks producers called me and they said, Tyra Banks is a little different.
Right.
So it's just not Oprah. So she was like, we want to bring you on as a guest expert with your book. And I was like, okay. So I was like, thank you. Yeah. So, and it just kept going from there.
Okay, so what made you want to talk to like the young ladies and let them know, listen, you don't have to deal with this. If you do this, then he'll do this. You don't have to put up with certain things. Right.
That was pretty much my expertise,
Okay.
So between being trapped, in the lure of the streets, and then being trapped in the lust of women, You know, that's two major things.
Right.
But I was more into relationships than I was anything else. And so I had broke so many hearts, lied to so many women, and it was so easy. So when I changed my life, you know, I was like, it was too easy. I got to give the game away. And so I saw women that I knew and loved, that you know, my blood, they were being, you know, lied to, used, you know, abused, and that hurt me. So I kind of just dedicated myself to trying to bring healthy, long-lasting relationships. And I came from such a raw place and such a real place, you know, and I had the ability to articulate it in a way that women knew that I knew what I was talking about.
Right.
And, you know, and then you have some guys who, they talk on it, but women can look at them and say,
You just talking.
you can't touch me. Yeah.
Right.
You can't, I wouldn't let you touch me with a 10-foot pole. But in my case, I had actually had a lot of women, so it resonated more. So they'd be like, you know what, if this dude telling me, I might want to listen, because he looked like I would have gave him some, you know. And so that's how they approached it, and they was appreciative. So,
but even with, because there's a lot of guys who still are like how you say you were, and you know, they see that their female relatives are going through the same thing, but that, what really made it snap to you, say, okay, I'm doing wrong, I'm hurting everybody? Because, you know, a lot of men see that.
Right.
You know, some of them see it in their mama, that she's getting the same thing, but it doesn't just click, like, you know what, let me stop, let me help you. So what really, like, was it just seeing that your family members was going through it, or feeling that, okay, I'm doing wrong? That was it that just made you say, okay.
Right. Well, you know, I was raised in the church. You know, I knew God, I knew right from wrong, so I was destined to do what I'm doing. You know, you don't become one of the most successful relationship coaches in the country at 28 years old if you weren't called to do it. So it was a calling that I couldn't run from. It was something, you know, even in speaking on relationships and life in general, it was a wisdom that I didn't even really understand, that I didn't understand where it was coming from. Well, I knew it was coming from, but I was like, why me?
Right.
And so when you have that on you every day to where you can't stop thinking about it, you have to do it. So like you say, many are called, few are chosen. And I felt as if I was one of the chosen ones because I couldn't run from it. And,
so it is what it is today. So how does it make you feel though when people reach out and, I mean, they look for you to help them with their issues, and like they have that much like respect for you to say, okay, let me listen to him. He's gonna tell me what I need to do and I'm gonna do it.
Right.
When that first started popping up, I'm sure you just kind of, you know, you used to it now maybe, but when it first started popping off and people really kept coming to you for like just to hear what you have to say, like what did that do to you? How did you feel?
You know, it's still surreal, and I'm not used to it, and I don't want to get used to it. And I've been doing it since 2007, so it's been 5 years. But it's like, I think I got out here saying, you know, I'm a black male. I'm gonna reach black women, you know, and I'm gonna reach black women 18 to 25. Then next thing I know, white women and Asian women were buying the book more than black women. I'm like, wow, I didn't expect that. And I'm thinking 18 to 25, next thing I know, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65.
Oh, Lord.
My oldest client, 67 years old. I'm like, what in the world, you know? And would read a book that I wrote at 22 and say it changed their life. So it showed me, you know, just the breakdown in our relationships and how we just don't have enough dialogue or communication. And so it's still surreal. Every single day I'm like, man, you know, why me? But, you know, I just take it in stride.
Okay. Well, let me ask you, before I get to the questions that were sent in, I want to see your point of view on something that's been going on. You know, it's a lot of it going on in Atlanta, but it's kind of taking over. Like a lot of African-American females are going natural. You know, and I get a lot, because I'm transitioning myself, so I get a lot of people writing me, well, does your husband this? And like, they're scared to, let me see. They say a lot of men say, oh, you should go natural. You don't need all that weave and you don't need this and this and this. But those same men, you'll look and they're going after the exotic looking women. You know, they don't really, get into the whole natural thing. They'll say, you don't need weave, you wearing this, but then that's not who they go for. So why do you think that is? Or, what do you think a woman should do when she's trying to go to natural, but she sees that her black man doesn't want how she is natural? He wants the long European hair and all that. So what do you think about that?
Right. Well, I think really it's the man, he's just not ready. Because ultimately men do want a woman that's comfortable in her own skin. And you don't want to take it too literal when a man says he wants a natural. He doesn't necessarily mean he wants you to have a bald head. He doesn't necessarily mean that he wants you to be totally against makeup. But what he's saying is you don't have to get Indian Remy and wear it all the time, or micros, or all the time. Sew in, glue in. You don't have to do that. You don't have to get fake eyelashes. You don't have to get 3 pounds of makeup on. You don't have to get a plastic butt, plastic breast. And a man wants a woman that he can lay down in bed with and she still looks good. Right. And I used to date women that would go to sleep in their makeup because they felt that insecure or that ugly. And you don't want that as a man. You don't want to, holler at Janet Jackson in the club and then get home and looking at Bobby Jackson.
Oh,
You just don't want it. And so, I think the natural thing, it really just means embracing yourself. And so, you're natural. You don't have the tracks and you don't have no makeup. You don't even got no lip gloss.
Right.
And you married. See, now if a single woman took that look and we were out, let's say we were out and I'm single and you're single, right? I'm going to look at you and I'm going to say, wow, she has a natural beauty. And then in my head, I can picture you with your hair. Yeah, I can picture with the makeup, with the MAC lip gloss, you know, with your eyeliner and eyeshadow. And I can see them like, wow, she looks attractive to me. She's my type, natural. Imagine what she'll look like we going to, an event. Yeah. And so that's what men want. But what we're getting is, it's a difference between a woman for a night and a woman for your life. And so the women that's transitioning to the natural, for one, don't go too extreme. For one, don't go too extreme. It's okay to have you a little bit of foundation.
But what's extreme?
Like don't shave all your hair off. So if you got hair like this, don't feel like you got to get one of these, like me.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And don't feel like you got to let your eyebrows grow out to be like mine. So don't feel like, your nails got to be cut back an inch behind the cuticle,
Lord.
So don't go too extreme.
Yeah,
don't feel
extreme.
like, don't feel like your lips got to be chapped, throw your little chapstick on, a little MAC lip gloss, keep your eyebrows arched, get your little manicure, you know what I mean?
Right.
Some women take the natural too far,
Just Mother
so,
Earth.
yeah, so it's the difference between, and natural don't necessarily mean you have to have a nappy afro.
Right, because you don't.
Pick that out, and throw your little, you could throw your little soul glow in there,
Not so glow.
And it could be short, but see, some taking it too far, and so it's different between looking natural and looking beat.
Okay.
Broke, busted, and disgusted. You see what I'm saying? And but if you're natural and you are, cause see we got the right berries and juices and lotions and to enhance your natural skin, to enhance your natural hair. So take care of yourself. Wash your face in the morning, at night. Treat your hair right. Okay, and then you can enhance yourself. And then guess what? When you see a man going after the woman that's 90% fake, you have to realize that when it comes to relationships, we're in a marathon. Those women over there running a sprint. So after that 100 meters, they done.
Right.
And then when that guy ready to tie it down for life, he coming to the woman that he can look at night with nothing on. You see? So what I always say, don't get weak, don't get weary in well doing. Stick to it. And don't be afraid to, enhance a little bit. But you ain't got to go get fake implants and all that. And
you losing legs and limbs from the butt implants. That's crazy.
And it's so many women. It's becoming very regular, and it's very sad that so many women getting butt implants. So and see, your butt that's just you got to sit on that every day. you know, that's too much. Now, you know, breasts, I can understand getting you a little lift or something if you're, you know, if
they hanging low.
Yeah,
They hanging low.
Yeah. And I can understand it because you got to go through birth.
Right.
And it's getting tugged and pulled on. So if your nipple talking to your belly button, I can understand.
Wanting to bring it back up, up to the neck, you know, the collarbone.
Yeah, that's okay. But when you got to go get shots in your lip, shots in your forehead, you know, shots in your butt, you know, all shaved chin.
But that seems like that's what men want now. So a lot of women are doing that.
See, that's another thing what women are confusing. Women are confusing grown boys with men. That's what grown boys want. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
So I tell a woman, if you see a man who married a woman with no class, that's not a man. You didn't lose a man, a real man from our male population. You lost a grown boy. So what you ought to be is like good riddance.
Right.
We lost another grown boy. Will a real man please stand up? Real men. When he becomes a real man, see, I used to be a grown boy, and I used to like those things that we see the guys are praising on the reality shows. But when you become a real man, you want a woman of substance. You want a woman that's comfortable in her skin. You want a woman that loves herself, that loves her God-given beauty, and knows how to enhance that, and she don't have to go to a plastic surgeon, you know, to enhance all of this and all of this. So women can't get weary. You gotta know the difference between a grown boy and a grown man. And
that's true, but taking back to, like you said, when, you know, they may go after the girls running the sprint, but it feels like, why should we have to sit and wait until y'all grow up? We gotta sit and wait for y'all, after y'all go play with all the little Kardashians and all of them out there. Then we gotta wait, and then when you're done with them, we're supposed to still be sitting right here.
Right. Well, see, this is the
open
thing.
Arms.
Well, see, this is the thing. Is what women have to understand is that you playing on another level. So while you waiting, you ought to be working. See, some people want to pray and wait. What you need to do is pray and work. So while you waiting, you need to be working on building a Fortune 500 company. You need to be working on fulfilling and manifesting every dream you got. Because when I come in your life, you got to sit down. So if you've been begging and pleading for me, and I come at 25, you're not fulfilling none of your dreams and goals. You might get to do 20% of them with an average man. Now, if you got a new age man and he supports you 100%, then you may fulfill those dreams, and you may fulfill them faster. But that type of man isn't common. So what women have to do is, in this waiting period, work. Set your dream. Hire you a life coach, me in particular. make you a website. You know, build your brand, enhance yourself, and realize that while you waiting, you got to realize why you're waiting. You waiting because you 10% smarter than men. You waiting because you live longer than men. You waiting because you use both sides of your brain and men only use one. So you waiting because you're a more advanced creature. So at 25, when you're ready, a man isn't ready.
Right.
So I've been dealing with so many guys in the past few days just got married at 40. And they're like, I'm just not ready at 40. But see, what he's thinking about is, I got to live till 80. You know, so
they want to settle down when they get older, make sure somebody's to take care of them.
You know, they thinking about settling down later. But guess what? You can surprise a man. I got married at 23. Because if you become the type of woman, and that's why I'm doing this Mrs. Right seminar for around the country, teaching women how to become that type of woman that'll make a man change his mind. When I saw my wife, I saw a one-night stand. After one conversation with her, I saw a woman I could spend my life with because she was ready. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of females, they don't understand perception. They saying they ready, but they come talk to me, a relationship coach who got a male perspective, and they say, oh, I'm ready. You got an attitude. You talk too much. You see what I'm saying? I'm pointing out everything.
And all the stuff.
You walk like you taking. You dress like you taking. You see what I'm saying? You snappy. You ain't even make no eye contact with me. You walk right past me like I was invisible. But you think you ready. You see what I'm saying? But see that she's getting weary in well doing. She's getting weary while she's waiting. And it's exuding from her. So as she's walking, her thoughts is controlling, her thoughts become her actions. So she's saying I'm waiting, but she's getting desperate and she's getting frustrated while she's waiting. So when she walking through the mall, it's showing on her face.
Right.
So as a single man walking past her, you don't have nothing to do with her.
You like baggage.
And that's why she's still waiting. You see what I'm saying?
Right, okay.
So it's important now that women realize that the game has changed, so now women have to change. Not compromise your self-worth for your self-respect, but you and not reinvent the wheel. You got to enhance it. You got to remodel it, you know. You got to get equipped with the tools. You got to get your software update.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? We updating. The game is updating, so you got to get updated.
Okay. Well, I always say when they write to me, I always tell women, don't look for somebody to complete you, look for somebody to enhance you. Would you agree with that?
Right, right. And I say the same thing. You should never look for a man to complete you, but to compliment you, which is the same thing as enhancing. And what that means is that you're not waiting to be rescued.
Right.
That means you are a brand. You know who you are, and you're looking for an asset. You know, you're looking for someone that you can merge with. You know, someone that's bringing something to the table. You're not waiting to be rescued.
Right.
So you can sit down and be a stay-at-home mom, and you know, because men sense that. And if you notice, I was looking at Tasha Smith today, and the actress. You know, she's not really any more cute than any other female walking around here. You know, she's a pretty lady, but she's no. And I saw her write something about support my husband. You know, such and such. And I've been seeing a lot of women in power who's built the brand. It's another author that she was single and celibate, wrote a book about it, started a fashion line, started a gala for it, a non-profit organization. As a single woman, guess what? Her book found her husband. Her husband mama bought her book that she birthed while waiting. The man read the book and then called her. Now they married.
Wow. Because
see, men looking for a woman that's doing something, not sitting there waiting to be rescued.
Right.
Not a woman that's complacent with her $20,000 a year job, you know what I mean? And not trying to enhance herself. And she wants more value out of life, but she's not willing to become more valuable to this life.
Right.
So a real man who knows what he wants, he's looking for a woman that is trying to grow, that's trying to enhance herself. But at the same time, he can see that she's learn how to balance hunger with contentment.
He just hurt a lot of y'all feelings right now. I felt some of y'all like, oh, I felt it. But I felt it. I felt they heart go like this.
It's real. It's real.
But it's true. It definitely is true. But okay. All right, so we're going to take a few questions from some of your fans that they sent in. And let's see. The first question is, how do I stay celibate when you have urges from time to time? And how do you subsidize the urges when you're trying to keep on that journey and not give it up before you get married?
Right, right. You know what? If you're serious about remaining celibate, for one, you got to start guarding your eyes and your ears. So you can't be watching Basketball Wives where they having all kind of illicit sex. Love and Hip Hop where all these women shacking up and they getting some every night. You can't be on listening to V103 with Trey Songz and Chris Brown talking about strip.
Right.
And all of this, neighbor knowing your name. So what's happening is, you know, women saying, hey, I want to be this, but they're doing the things and listening to the things and going to the environments and the places. Like that female, I would want to know, do you watch Basketball Wives?
She does.
You know, yeah, you see what I'm saying? Are you watching Love and Hip Hop? Do you listen to Trey Songz and Chris Brown? That's what's feeding your mind, because see, that's the quickest route, your eyes and your ears. And then in waiting, like I say, you have to channel that energy. So I used to be a womanizer. I used to sleep around. So it's like, okay, how did you change when you sign a piece of paper? Guess what? I channeled that energy. So here I was, didn't have 2 dimes to rub together while I was sleeping around. Got married, decided to be faithful. Now I run 3 companies, you know, and I run every aspect of my business, you know, all day long. You know, a serial entrepreneur. When I used to have none, now I have 3, you know. And so I channel that energy, and you know, so today, because I need to stay faithful, I give my wife what she needs.
Okay.
You know, physically, emotionally, you know. And then outside of that, I've become an author, a life coach, an author consultant, a ghostwriter, a motivational speaker, a screenwriter, a film producer, a film director, and the list goes on. I can't even think. Finna become a spoken word artist.
Oh.
You know, that's 9 titles right there, and I'm forgetting something. But guess what? I had to channel that energy.
Right. I got an idle mind.
So this young lady here, she need to have a website within a month. She needs to have a LLC within a month. She needs to have business cards within a month. She needs to have her dreams, her goals, her visions on paper and begin manifesting them. And so when you feeling horny, get to work.
Right. Put the energy towards something else. All right, because you probably finished all your work too.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next question is, how should you go about asking a guy you're dating about getting tested before y'all decide to take it to the next level?
You just got to ask them. You just got to ask them. And see, that's another major problem with grown women.
Mm-hmm.
Grown women are afraid to ask men grown questions. They'll say, oh, don't ask them that. You know, I teach my clients, you ask a man on the first date. Because if you're dealing with a grown man, it's no question in the world you can ask me that's going to offend me as a grown man. How many people have you slept with? What's your 5-year plan? Mm-hmm. You know, what's your goals? What's your dreams? Your faith, your family, and your finances. The 3 F's you need to be able to ask. So asking, hey, okay, you ready to have sex? Well, let's go to the clinic together and get tested.
Right.
If he, what? What? I ain't getting tested. He probably getting ready to give you gonorrhea, chlamydia, HPV, syphilis, and working on HIV.
Oh, Lord.
If he ain't getting ready to give you no package, he'll go right down there to the clinic with you.
Quick, let's go.
And you got to realize this. This a grown man you're dealing with, you know? You're not dealing with no little boy. If you're dealing with a little boy, you'll know that if you ask him.
Right.
So ladies, stop being afraid to ask grown men grown questions. Do not be afraid to ask tough questions. You are a brand. You are an entity. And so when you meet a man, it's like interviewing someone before you hire them for your company. You're doing an interview and you need to make sure in every way that this man is an asset and not a liability. Ask tough questions. And I guarantee you real men will not back down from you.
Right. I never got how you couldn't ask a question, but you could jump in the bed.
You know? You better,
all right.
You better ask.
Next question. Why do some men leave the 80 for the 20? She had a 3-part question. Okay. Why do some men leave the 80 for the 20? And will a man ever marry a woman with 4 kids?
Right.
We'll let you answer that before we get to that third one.
Okay. Why do some men leave the 80 for the 20? Mm-hmm. See, a lot of times women don't take the time to understand perception. So sometimes women feel like they're 80 and they actually 20. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes a woman got to understand what that 20 is to that man. If 20 to that man is, you're going to have sex with me every night, mm-hmm. You're going to be willing to do a strip tease, you're going to be willing to switch up your hairstyle, you're going to be willing to put some color contacts in your eyes instead of wearing them big glasses. You got to understand what that 20 is to that man. And you also have to understand that men are visual creatures. So if that 20 means a body that's in shape and somebody that like to go to LA Fitness,
right,
and lift some weights and do some cardio, if that 20 is that to that man and he's a visual creature, mm-hmm. that means more to him than a woman that can do his taxes, a woman that can be the CEO of his household, because he probably feel like, I can do those things. You know, I can do those things. I need a woman that's going to look good because it's a lot of temptation out here. So I need you to take care of your body. You know, if you get up to 200 pounds and you steady not trying to lose weight as a woman, that might not look good to that man.
Right.
And he passing by all these women that's, you know, even if she 150, 160 pounds, but she working out.
Right.
Diligently. You see what I'm saying? So women have to start doing, you know, the things that they may not want to do, like working out regular, changing their diet, you know, learning about fashion, you know.
Right.
Because you got to understand the makeup of a mind of a man, you know.
Well, there you go. And her last question was, how do men feel when a woman says she's celibate till marriage? And how would you be able to keep a man if you're celibate?
Well, I'll tell you this. Now, the question before about the 4 kids. Yes,
oh, yeah.
Yes, a man will a man will marry. Like I say, men are visual creatures. So if you got 4 kids, I'm hoping everything is doing okay. But what I want you to do is, you know, get your right diet, the way you're eating right, whether it's salmon, grilled chicken, little sweet potato every now and then, some asparagus, and then get you a workout plan. You working out at least 3 times a week for a good hard hour, and you make sure your hair's right and your face is right, and you take care of your body. Now, if you get to looking good enough, a man will marry you with 10 kids. A man don't care how many kids you got if you look good enough to him.
Wow.
If you look good enough to him, you take care of yourself, he can fall in love with you and your kids. And I see it every day. I see it every day. But a lot of times, them women who have, I know people, I know women that have 5 and 6 kids.
Right.
5, 6, 7 kids, but have taken care. I mean, breasts still right, butt is right, working out, face is pretty, hair nice, and they married. You know, they married. So you got to take care of you. And on the celibate question, you got to realize that if you meet a real man and you're everything that that man wants in a woman, he'll marry you. Whether it's, if he got to wait 3 months, if he got to pop the question in 3 months, 6 months, he'll marry you.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Now, if you're not what he wants, he's gonna keep moving. He's not trying to hear that celibate.
Right. Okay.
He's gonna keep moving.
All right. Next question is, my boyfriend / baby's father of 8 years is scared to marry me over some past indiscretions that happened 2 years ago. What can I do to show him I'm ready to act like and be a wife?
You know that they say, once trust is gone, you may never get it back. And if there is no trust, there is no relationship.
Right.
And so it's the sad truth is that sometimes when you mess up in life, you have to be willing to accept the consequences. Sometimes that means, you know, if you steal from the job, you got to get fired.
Right.
You know, and the same in a relationship. If you break that trust and you step outside of that relationship, you have to be willing to get left or to leave. And so that right there, you know, it's totally up to that man. But me personally, I don't really advise people to stay in relationships when they've broken that trust or when they've slept with someone else, because it's dangerous, because you're dealing with a human being that may want vengeance, revenge, that may never understand how to forgive and forget.
Right.
May say they forgive you, but remind you about what you did every time an argument happens.
Right.
So sometimes you have to realize that I did this because I was in a relationship I shouldn't have been in. Because if you was in a relationship you wanted to be in and you really loved this person and y'all meant for, you wouldn't step outside of that.
Right.
But then now you looking around and what you thought was an upgrade turned out to be a downgrade, and now you want this person to accept you, and that's not fair to that person. So you might have to kick rocks.
So it is what it is.
It's tough.
Okay, and the next one is, my boyfriend and I have been together for 8 years, and he won't introduce our 2-year-old daughter to his 12-year-old daughter. He says she always says she doesn't want a brother or a sister, and it would hurt her if she found out. What should I do?
That's another issue that, you know, it's tough. But what you have to understand is that man's priorities. You got to understand his priorities. And if, you know, introducing his daughter, who he loves with all his heart, you know, to his new daughter, if that's not high on his priority list, then what you have to ask yourself is, can I live without this? If he never wants to introduce, am I okay with that? And if you're not okay with that, then you need to give him an ultimatum. You need to show him that you're willing to pack up your bags and leave. But as long as you're just talking about it and you asking him and you're not going anywhere, he's not going to make that move. Right. But if you want to see, you know, what he's going to do, you need to put your foot down. And I guarantee you, he's going to step up or he's going to step out.
We have 2 more questions and we're going to go ahead and wrap it on up. This one writes and says, I've been dating this guy for about 6 months. When do you think is a good time for us to take it to the next level as far as having relations?
Now, relations, you think she's talking about
Yeah, she said.
To have sex. First, you want to look at those 6 months and see what those 6 months have been like. If it's been 6 months to where y'all talk every other day, or even if you talk 10 minutes a day, then those 6 months aren't 6 months. What counts in a relationship is if you talk to a person, the only thing you can count is consecutive, every single day, speaking at least an hour a day. Whether in today it could be text, but it should be on the phone. And this man has deposited into you an hour of his time out of his 24 every day. That's when you know that man is serious. And guess what? He's going to know if he's taking that time with you, you know he's serious. And if you're not having sex with him and he knows that you don't want to have sex, then he's going to put the ring on your finger. He's going to put a ring on your finger so he can have sex with you. And if he's not pressing it, either he liking men or he got some other females.
Okay. Well, this is Atlanta. You can't put nothing past somebody. All right. Last and final question is, my fiance's mom can't stand me. I don't know why. She talks crazy about me to anybody who'll listen. She acts like we're in competition. He has talked to her, but this has been going on for 4 years, and I just smile and nod and keep it cute. But I'm getting tired of it. I feel like I'm coming between them, and I don't want to disrespect his mom, but it's getting real old. What should I do?
And you know, I hear that so much. And to be honest with you, if his mom is talking bad about you and it's getting back to you, and it's been 4 years, you're not with a man. You're with a grown boy. You're with a mama's boy. Because my mom, there's no way in the world she's going to disrespect my wife.
Right.
Because, and like the good book says, a man will cleave, forsake. It doesn't say talk to every other day. It says a man will forsake his mother and father and cleave to his wife. So when a man is serious about his woman, nothing or no one can come before that. And he will still love his mom, but his mom has to know that this is my wife, now we are one flesh.
Right.
I came out of you, but now I've been joined to this woman, so now you have to, you got to take this back seat right here, Mama. I love you, but you don't love me if you're disrespecting the person that I love. And if you keep disrespecting the person that I love, then I'm going to have to cut you loose. Because your love for me should be thicker than that. It should be better than that. And so you got to realize, for one, his mama is a grown girl. For two, she probably got emotional issues herself. And she don't want to let her baby go.
Right.
So y'all are in competition. And then lastly, you have to ask yourself, can you live with it? Can you live with a man that won't really put his foot down with his mom and cut her all the way off? See, people got to be willing to send a real message. If my mom was doing that, I wouldn't answer her calls. I wouldn't go to her house. I'd cut her slap off to where she know that I'm serious. And then guess what? She going to say, you know what? I want my baby back in my life. It's cool. You love her, I love her. I'm cool. And so, if you got a real man, he got to put a real foot down. And if he's not willing to do that, then you need to think about parting ways and finding you a real man.
All right, well, there y'all go. I hope y'all, take it and do with it as you will. Some of y'all hearts is hurt, but that's all right.
Please don't take anything out of context. I try to keep it real and raw, straight to the point, and I do this every day. So the information that I'm giving is almost like a study, because I've tested and seen over the last 5 years, coaching every day, what works and what doesn't. So ladies, please take this and know that it's going to work. And I can tell you, in all of my coaching, I've never had a female come to me and said, you know what, you were wrong. 100% of the time they say you were right. Because if I don't believe it, I'm not going to speak it. And because I was a man, I know how these things operate. And the only men that argue with me is grown boys. And the only women that argue with me are the ones who don't want to confront their situation, and they don't want to hear the truth because the truth requires change. But guess what? When you change and you grow, your life gets much better. So confront your situation and be woman enough to make the necessary changes. All
right. Well, I thank you so much for letting Sweet Addictions TV come down and sit with you and pick your brain a little bit.
Thank you.
Is there any way people can reach you, any, you know, your websites, your Twitters, anything like that?
Right. At Tony Gaskins, TonyGaskins, at Tony Gaskins. That's my site too, TonyGaskins.com. And you know, I would love to help you, but my Twitter now has about 130,000 followers, and I follow probably over 20,000. So I get a lot of messages. So I've had to make it to where my business are for those individuals that really want change. And if you want change, then you'll invest in yourself and hire a life coach, because I can't really coach for free, because there's so many demons out here, so many people with ulterior motives. It's women that have even hired me to pay me to try to sleep with me. So
wow.
It gets so serious out here. I can't really deal with you if you're not serious. And so coming asking for a bunch of free advice, I don't know if you just want to holler at me or,
right.
or what. So I will help you, but you got to be willing to help yourself.
Okay, and that was your Twitter and your websites. You also want to tell them where you're having your seminar on Saturday here in Atlanta?
Right. So ladies in Atlanta, I'll be at the Cobb Galleria in one of their ballrooms Saturday at 11 a.m. Saturday at 11 a.m. Tickets are $35. It'll be a 2-hour, you know, I'm speaking for an hour and I'm doing a Q&A. You cannot beat this, because a coach sometimes is $150 an hour. But this $35, you invest in yourself and it can change your life. And relationships is the most important thing in life. So I'm giving away the game. And to one, you know, lucky viewer, follower of Sweet Addictions, that's what it's called, right? Sweet Addictions.
Yep.
I'm giving away a ticket. So, you know, get with her, email her, you tell them what.
Yep, and I'll let you guys know. Actually, tomorrow it'll be on Facebook, so I'll let you guys know who's the winner of the ticket. So y'all keep tuned. You make sure you check on your Facebooks, and I'll let you know exactly how you're going to get to win it. So you can be the lucky person to come on out and get some of the game from Mr. Tony Gaskins. Yes. So, as always, thanks for watching, and we are out.
Thank you.